Hi, and welcome to the Tragedy to Triumph podcast with Dave Roever. I am Kim Chapin. I am Dave's daughter, and I'm happy here to co-host with my dad. It's exciting. This is our very first podcast for Tragedy to Triumph, and we're excited to have you with us. Going to go over a lot of great information today, huh, Dad?
Yes, we are, Kim. First of all, thank you for being part of this grandiose effort. I've done podcasts for everybody in the world and finally said, okay, everybody kept saying to me, when are you going to do your own? Well, okay, we're going to do our own.
Yeah.
But we've had such a good time doing it. I want to thank you for designing the set, putting all your heart and soul into this thing. And today is a banner day in my life, I think in your life.
Yeah.
It's a father-daughter effort to reach a country that needs to be reminded freedom is not free. And what a cliche, but what a true statement it is.
Well, and I think today, I hear the word resiliency. I mean, it's like a pinball, machine. It's just that word is bouncing around everywhere. People talk about resiliency, and I don't even know if a lot of them know what it means. But that has been a real cornerstone of who you are, what you do, what you share to our military when you are speaking. Just like last month, you spoke to special boat teams, and you talk about resiliency as a coach for Department of Defense.
Right. Well, I've been doing that for since 2001. September 11th occurred, and 2 weeks later, I got the call from DOD, then now Department of War, but Department of Defense, asked me if I go to Langley and I would address the troops there. I said, well, let me pray about it. Amen. Yes. That's how long it took to say yes. And I went and spoke. It was the beginning of a whole new chapter in my life. I want to give thanks to General Hal Hornberg, to Lieutenant General Wright, Bruce Wright, better known as Orville, Orville Wright, because they're the ones that took a chance on me and said, we want you to bring your story. Now, I'd been working with Dr. Billy Graham for years before. I traveled 9 years in and out of the Great Crusades with Dr. Graham, sharing my story in schools, in military installations, and then inviting them to Monday night, which was Military Youth Night. And we did very well during that period of time. Then we shared board members with Dr. Graham, with Billy Graham Evangelistic Association. We shared board members with them for 20 years, almost
What
19 years.
What a legacy.
And what a man of God he was.
Mm-hmm.
And General Dr. Sterling Houston, I'm used to speaking generals. Sterling Houston was a general in my book, a 4-star. He could sit down with a pauper, he could sit down with a prince and make them all feel perfectly, and he was perfectly comfortable with all of them. But I can tell you today is a banner day for many reasons. One, I'm in control of this set today. You are. We are. I'm not at somebody else's mercy. Nobody's going to ask me better questions than you, and I'm not going to respond to anybody better than you.
You may not like me after it's done.
But tragedy to triumph has become a theme of my life because from a tragedy on the bank of a river in Vietnam on the border with Cambodia, a tragedy took place. Before I ever got off that river that day, the triumph had already set in. I didn't know the story that would follow. I had no clue what would come in my life. In fact, I actually thought I was dead. A hand grenade doesn't explode 6 inches from the right side of your head and you survive and live to talk about it. I actually thought I was dead. Until I looked down, I could see my heart beating. Then I said to myself, I can see my pulse. I don't need to take a pulse.
Right.
With every beat of my heart, blood would squirt out of a lacerated artery in my right wrist and a flag of red blood. I realized I'm not dead yet. As long as, listen carefully, as long as there's life, there's hope.
That's good.
I remember coming home, Kim, from my first semester of college. Nothing is more important. No one is more smart. They're the smartest people in the world, first semester freshmen. I came home to a mom who was in a wheelchair, had been in a wheelchair for decades. I'd never known her to be well a day in my life. In fact, my birth almost killed her, and she barely survived and was in a wheelchair most of her life after that till she was curled up in a fetal position in a nursing home for decades and died with a feeding tube in her stomach. That day I looked at her and I had to turn my head the right angle, cock my head at 45 degrees to look very intelligent. Because I knew Huxley, Hess, Socrates, these guys, they didn't know the answer. Herman Hesse, Huxley, Socrates, they didn't know. And I knew Mom didn't know. Mom, I said, what is life? If Herman Hesse and Socrates, Huxley, they didn't know the answer. My mom's not going to know the answer. I got her. I stumped her. She's an intelligent woman, very bright, valedictorian for high school and college. Her dad was the Supreme Court judge for the state of Arkansas, and grew up in a very highly intellectual atmosphere. And then to stump her, I knew I had her. What is life? She looked at me, she said, the absence of death. Did you want salt and pepper on these eggs? I was so stunned, I was speechless.
Shut down.
Shut down. I looked at her and I said, Mom, she could barely reach up to the stovetop to make those eggs. She said, what is death? I said, the absence of life. She said, no. Death is the absence of Christ, whom to know is life.
Yeah.
I never forgot that. You see, I was just a boy whenever she was giving birth to a little baby that little boy would, I guess I'm the little fish that made it up the stream. You know what I'm trying to say by that? Of all the little fishes that could have made it, I'm the one that made it. And she couldn't hold me. She couldn't feed me. She couldn't be a mom to me the day I was born. It almost killed her. Had a Mexican nanny. Her name was Maria Rubio from Matamoros, Mexico. She held me. She fed me. She talked to me. My first language was Spanish more fluently than English. As a child, it's crazy. Fluent in Spanish. I wake up every morning, David, dame un beso. Andale pronto. Hurry up and give me a kiss, Davy. I was off out the door to play. I'll never forget. My first language being Spanish. I go to school and they said, you have to learn English, go to school. Well, I spoke a little bit, but not like I should. 6 years old. And then they told me, of all things, I'm not a Mexican. They told me I'm not a Mexican. I thought I was a Mexican. Don't tell me I'm something I'm not. I got off on the wrong foot, but it was really the right foot. Because discovering as a young boy I wasn't what I thought I was would be a theme almost, a reoccurring nightmare in so many moments of my life when tragedies would bring me to the brink of death and I would discover I'm not what I thought I was. Nothing in my life has served me better than to have suffered. Jesus learned obedience to the things he suffered. What have I learned? A lifetime of experiences have built upon one another, stone upon stone, precept upon precept, story upon story. A life that started out with pain and has lasted for 56 years since that war in Vietnam.
Well, I wanted our listeners to get to know you on this first episode because there's obviously a lot of our followers already on social media who are going to be tuning in, either on the YouTube channel or listening on whatever podcast platform that they prefer to hear it on. But so I know we've got a base of people who do know you. They've heard you. I can't tell you countless times going through the airport with you traveling where somebody will stop and go, Dave Roever, or, Dave, you spoke in my high school in 1978, or you came to my church when I was 12 years old back in 1980, or so many people have heard you and heard your story, but there are a lot of followers now or people who are tuning in who have not heard your story. And I wanted to give them that opportunity.
How dare they not know me? What's wrong with them? Where have they been? What rock did they crawl out from under?
Well, I think to give them kind of a base of what we're going to build on, a foundation of who you are, why you are sitting in this seat today, and kind of your journey. If I wish everybody could see, obviously those on YouTube are going to be able to look at the video, but we have on our podcast table a beret that's sitting here. And tell me a little, this is your beret. This is from Vietnam, 1969. This is your beret. Tell us about it.
Yeah, first of all, I want to tell you that I did not have any ambition to serve in the military. And time permitting, I'll tell you the life-changing moment, the most insignificant, non-essential, unbelievably obscure second in time that would alter the very trajectory of my life. Mm-hmm. I'll get to that, God willing, in this session. But the beret, it's a black beret. That's what we were. We were U.S. Navy, brown water, black beret. Look us up online. We have a fascinating history.
Yeah.
We controlled the rivers of the South. We took control. We won our war on those rivers. We beat the communists at their game.
Yeah.
We controlled it.
Yeah, we were just in Vietnam.
Yeah.
It was my first time there. And so to
just
be
a few
able
weeks ago,
to go to Saigon, which is now called Ho Chi Minh City, and to be in this city where that was where you first came when you arrived in Vietnam, to be in that same city and to hear you talk about, your experiences there. It was really life-changing for me as your daughter. But I mean, I know that this was a division of Special Forces.
Yes.
For
the
the
Navy has 3 special operations units. One is called U.S. Navy Brownwater Black Beret, now called Special Boat Teams. Mm-hmm. Another are U.S. Navy SEAL teams. The other are Special Dive Vehicle Teams.
Okay.
That's guys who run around these little 2-man submarines up down the coast of North Korea and listen to Kim Jong-un fart in the bathtub.
Oh my
goodness. He doesn't get by with anything. These 3 units are Special Warfare Command of the U.S. Navy. Mm-hmm. I was in the Brownwater Black Beret.
Okay.
I was speaking recently at NASA for the boat team, Special Boat Team 22, and they told me I'm the grandfather of the boat teams. We were the first of the first.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of my history, Kim.
Yeah.
We were so vulnerable. Little river boats that are made out of fiberglass. They were trying to kill us by shooting at us with these B-40 anti-tank rocket-propelled grenades. Rockets to blow up Army tanks used on fiberglass boats. They'd hit us. Our boats would just turn to white powder, enough to drive a cocaine addict insane. All that white powder in so little time. But we didn't survive it. We had the highest KIA, killed in action, in the war, but you can't prove it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have a body, and the bodies went down with the boats, if you don't get a body, even though they know you're dead, they do not list you as KIA. They list you as MIA, missing in action, for years and years and years. Mm. So I fell in love at 16, Kim, to a girl that would one day be your mama.
Yeah.
She was 13. I asked her to marry me. She slapped me. She said, I'm only 13. I said, but you have the body of a 14-year-old. She slapped me again.
That does not surprise me.
And her dad was named Smith N. Wesson. And he said no to our marriage that I wanted so desperately to consummate. I was possessed with the urge to merge. I tell kids in public school. She was not so possessed. She made me wait. And to shock her of students, I tell millions and millions of students, I told this story. We were both virgin when we got married.
Yeah.
And then that'd be 35 years later, I'd say.
Yeah.
And 35 years later, we're still married. They go, because they thought I was going to say still virgin. But you're the product of not being still virgin. She was a doll. When she look at her, isn't she beautiful?
Yeah. So we've got a photo here of my mom and dad on their wedding day. And my mom told me a little bit about this photo that is up on the screen for you to see. And it was when they were, having cake. And my dad was so sweet and gave her, a piece of that cake. And then when it was her turn, I said, Mom, did you smash it? She goes, oh, yeah, I smashed it all over his face. But, I look at this and I see my daughter, Callie, just got married. And I look at, this photo and I imagine just how fresh, weddings are in my mind right now. But just the joy of getting married and, marrying your sweetheart. This is the love of your life.
She was marrying a preacher to be.
Yeah.
I was in seminary. I was studying for ministry.
Yeah.
I'm a couple of years older, and I was already in college, and she's graduating high school, and 18 years old. So she was 17 at that point. And she had her birthday right after her graduation, and we got married.
Yeah.
And our plans were all made. I'm going to go to college, get my ordination, my degree. I'd pastor a church somewhere and follow my dad's footsteps. My dad was my hero. Mm-hmm. And my life took a change. Yeah. And I guess maybe here's a good time to talk about that moment in time, that undescript, useless sound that would transform my life from peace to a perversion of everything that could be ever called peace of the rest of my life. And here's how the story goes. I had exemptions. I didn't have to serve in the military. I was a student in college. I was married, and I was a seminary student. I had a ministerial exemption. 3 exemptions, 3 letters, 3 written out exemptions. I opened my post office box one day, and there was a letter from a very, very wealthy uncle. His name is Sam.
Uncle Sam.
And what uncle wants, uncle gets, and he said, you go take a physical. I thanked him for inquiring about my health, but that wasn't enough. He insisted I take my physical. Now, here I am, a college student. I'm working at General Dynamics. I'm making more money at General Dynamics than my college president was making. I'm a sophomore in college.
Yeah.
And I got to go take a physical to go in the military. So the night before I went to take my physical, I set the alarm clock. 4 a.m., be dressed and out the door by 5 a.m., drive an hour to Dallas for 6 o'clock, take my physical, handle my letters of exemption, and come back and pursue my dream life with my dream wife. Nothing came out right.
Yeah.
That morning, as I had set my alarm for 4, this will date how old I am. The clock has to warm up before the radio came on.
The tube.
The tubes. There was a little knob, I remember, on the face of the clock, and you turn it from off to on, and it set the alarm on. Whatever you set the alarm hand on the screen on the face of that clock to be. At 4 a.m., I'm sound asleep. There's this little click. I went into REM sleep, rapid eye movement. That's when you dream the most and your eyes move violently behind the lids of your eye. And people can see your eyes moving because you're dreaming in exponential time. You can dream in 1 second what seems like 30 minutes of sleep. The clock came on after the introduction, I'm sure, of what station it was. I think it's KRLD, Radio Dallas, Texas. But this is what I heard when the warming up of the tubes was finally done, which was only a few seconds. Today, in the northern part of South Vietnam, in an area known as the DMZ, a young Marine was killed. That's all I remember, verbatim. I'm in my REM sleep with that click. It didn't wake me up, but alerted me something in my subconscious to be aware of. I began to dream what I was hearing.
Okay.
I dreamed I was walking through a jungle. That's all I remember of Vietnam because I'd never been there. I just saw it on TV.
Sure.
I'm thinking in my dream I'm in Vietnam in an area known as the DMZ. I didn't know what DMZ meant. I didn't know it meant demilitarized zone, no man's land. All I knew was, in my dream, I'm walking through a jungle. I come upon a dead Marine. I roll him over. And what happened next was so violent. I leaped in my sleep so violently, I literally fell off the edge of the bed onto the floor. Your mama, before you were ever born, your sweet little mama, Brenda, a little teenage girl, leaned over the edge of the bed. She said, "Are you all right?" I said, "No." She said, "Did you hurt yourself?" I said, "No." She said, "Well, you're all right." I said, "No, I'm not." I said, "Brenda, I'm going to go take my physical. I will not come back a civilian. I will come back in the United States military." She started crying. "No, Davey, don't do that to us, Dave. Baby, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do it. Don't do it." I said, "I have to. I have no choice." She said, "Why?" You see, what I saw when I rolled that body over that young Marine, when I looked down in that helmet, was my face. I said, "A Marine died for me today." and I have to go take his place.
Mm.
The saddest kiss I've ever received was the trembling lips and the hot tears of a little teenage girl who watched her handsome young prince go out the door as civilian and come back in the United States military.
We have pictures of you in Mom, and we do have them up on the screen for those who are viewing. And there is a picture of you and Mom, and from what I understand, the one that's on the bottom, that was the last picture taken of you together.
Yes, that was the last time she saw me as a normal man.
Right.
She never would see me again.
You were about to be deployed and shipping out. And the look on her face and the look on your face, it gets me every time, of just, of moments where you just realize that this could be it.
Yeah.
And that reality hits hard. It hits so hard.
I'm looking at that picture of your sweet mama. People said that was Princess Di with dark hair. She had the same nose, and she was such a beautiful girl. And I took my physical. I laugh and tell everybody it's the only exam I took that year that I passed. I made an O+ on the blood test. But I came back from training. I ran out of boot camp. I came back. That's the top left picture out of boot camp. The bottom right picture is out of special operations training at Naval Amphibious Base, Coronado, California. That was the last one. I got on the airplane and left her that day.
Yeah.
I think that picture was taken at the airport because I was in my dress blues.
Right.
That day.
And here is something that was such a surprise for me. Last month, I was cleaning out a storage unit or storage area at your house, and I found this exact, your dress blues that you have on. I found them. And I know you'll tell me about as we get on here in your story, but you were sewing a patch on the arm, and that patch is there. It's still partially sewed on. You had started it, but you hadn't finished it.
It was the day that I was actually being promoted to E5. I was in E4, which is first class petty officer. I was being upgraded to second class and boat captain of my own boat. But the official promotion not taking place. I was sewing on the patch.
Yeah.
The needle is still in the garment.
Yeah.
When the general quarters sounded, I dropped everything and ran to my boat and never came back on my boat again.
Yeah.
As the last mission of my life in that uniform. There's so much to talk about.
Yeah. Well, there's, I know that you've shared a lot about, being on the boat, but tell us about the day that you were injured. We have a picture of your boat up. These are the river boats, and there's actually a photo of you. This is the last picture taken of you before you were injured.
Yeah, that's the last picture taken of there. I was on the boat. You can see the canopy. I'm sitting in front of that tree of lights, and then behind me, you can't see it in the picture of me, but you can see it on my boat with the radar dome.
Yeah.
Which was flexible. You had to lay it down to go under bridges. And I have a little boat behind me, a little model of it, without the flag on. I was noticing the flag. Yeah. We lost the flag somewhere, but doesn't matter. Those boats were famous. They made a movie about it called Apocalypse Now.
Okay.
And then later on, more recently, they made another movie called Acts of Valor. And it's all about the U.S. Navy SEALs and the U.S. Navy Special Warfare Command boat teams.
Okay.
And that's us.
Yeah.
And I lasted 8 months without a scratch. But as you look at that picture, I can almost smell the diesel and smell the water. I mean, it's so close. It's so reminiscent. For a lot of guys, they've never shared their story. They they don't deal with it every day like I have to.
Yeah.
I was still in the hospital and people were calling me to come tell them my story. I was sneaking out of the hospital. Last 8 weeks, I snuck out of the hospital 8 weekends in a row, written up 8 times AWOL, and they canceled it all when they gave me my honorable discharge.
Yeah.
But I can still, I mean, look at that picture. I can almost feel the sway of the boat. I can hear the whine of the twin diesels on the jacuzzi water pumps pushing us down that river at 40 knots. Quite a remarkable thing to look at that. How did I get there, Kim? How in the world did I get there? It goes back to a little click of an alarm clock, timed perfectly with the announcement on the morning news from KRLD radio or WFFA, whichever one it was. Today, in the northern part of South Vietnam, in an area known as the DMZ, a young Marine was killed. And I could not take his place.
Right.
I ended up joining the Navy because I didn't want to get hurt in the Army. I joined the Navy and thought I'd see the world on a big aircraft carrier. But, I mean, who's going to float a battleship in or an aircraft carrier in a rice paddy? Yeah. I was safe.
Yeah.
But when I got out of boot camp, I excelled very well in boot camp. And they came to me and said, would you be willing to serve with Navy SEAL Team 1 as a Brownwater Black Beret, the boat team that would symbiotically be attached to SEAL Team 1? I said, sure, sound like fun to me. Yeah. Never gave it a second thought. Here I'd already graduated from my school in how to launch a missile from a submarine or from a cruiser. I knew how to do all that, but they handed me my graduation certificate. I was top of my class, believe it or not. First time I'd ever excelled educationally. I tell everybody I was in the top 10%, lower 1/3 of my class in high school. I majored in math. I found out 5 out of 4 people don't even understand fractions. And if you didn't understand that, you were in my class. But here I am now training with SEALs, a SEAL commander training us. And I'm going to Vietnam. I'm kissing a little teenage girl goodbye at the airport. And I promised to be her hero as a preacher. And I'm going to war in the Special Forces of the U.S. Navy, a special operator with the highest KIA and no hope of coming back. I kissed her goodbye and I walked away. I could still taste the hot salt of tears on her lips.
And she asked you a question that
she called my name, Davy, and when she said Davy, I stopped. Hadn't shed a tear, Kim, not a tear. I was a tough guy. Mm-hmm. I'm a special operator, U.S. Navy. Real men don't cry. She said, Davy, and before I could stop and turn around, a tear burst over the lower lid of my eye and ran down my cheek. I tried and frustrated. I said, what? She asked me the question of a lifetime. Davy, are you coming back? That was the most profound question I'd ever been asked. And in my smart little mouth, I said, I'll be back without a scar. Why did I say scar? Why didn't I say, I'll be back without a pimple?
Anything with that.
And that would set the trajectory of my life. Yeah. From a click to a broken promise. She never got her handsome young prince back another day of her life. Mm.
So here you are on a boat in Vietnam, and you had talked about or shared that the day before you were injured severely with the grenade, that you were there the day before in a firefight.
3 days before.
Okay.
I have on my laptop here a picture of my Purple Heart. You saw it a moment ago, I think. It's my injury that won the Purple Heart was 3 days before the injury that took me down for the rest of my life. July 23rd, 1969. Sounds like right after the War of 1812. We were on a patrol in that boat on the riverbank of the Vam Cote, where I would 3 days later be blown up by a hand grenade. That day, we encountered the worst firefight I'd ever been involved in. Everything they could shoot at us was shot at. 13 B-40 rockets were fired. Every one of them missed. angels are out there playing catch with those rockets.
Yeah.
Small arms fire, 51 caliber machine guns, 1 caliber higher than they could shoot our bullets, but we couldn't shoot theirs. It was an amazing day. Yeah. We all survived, but not without some small injuries, and I considered mine very small. It's amazing what one bullet can do. 2 days, 3 days apart, the 23rd of July, a bullet hit the tip of my M60 I was firing. I was standing midship, as we call it, firing 2 M60s on a twin mount, and a bullet hit the right hand gun, and it bent the front of that. It bent the barrel.
Oh, wow.
And shattered. Some went into my eye, but another one made a big rip on my cheek, right cheek. Blood's everywhere, but I didn't know it was mine. When you're in the middle of a firefight, they call it the fog of war. Your adrenaline is so high, you don't feel pain.
Yeah.
And you're screaming. You don't know what you're screaming. I don't know what I was saying. I hope I wasn't cussing. I didn't know how to cuss very good. I went in the military. I heard it so much. I tried not to use it too much. I thought, I'm a preacher. I love the name of Jesus. I'll never hear it again in the military. Boy, was I wrong. Yeah. Jesus got blamed for everything. That day, 23rd of July, I had to be medevaced. They had to get the steel out of my eyeball to preserve my right eye and to sew up my cheek where the stitches had to be given. Mm-hmm. And I remember whenever I was signing paperwork after being helicoptered, medevaced in on what's called dust off, I said, what am I signing? They said, well, you'll receive a Purple Heart for what you've gone through today. I blew it off. I really didn't even know what a Purple Heart was all about. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know I was really in special force. I thought everybody in the Navy did what I was doing. I didn't think it was all that special. I'm just a dumb little preacher's kid, grew up without ever seeing a television program of John Wayne. I didn't know anything about war. Now I'm being trained, and I thought all the training I went through, the miles of running, exercises in the boats, shooting guns with blanks, and then some live fire. I thought it's all just training. I'll never have to do it. I never dreamed. My second week in Vietnam, before my 8th month injury, I was supposed to be there 13 months. My second week, we had a body count so big, I would never shed another tear in Vietnam as a warrior. Never again. Yeah. A bitterness set in with every dead body. Bitterness. So disillusioned. What's a preacher's kid doing over here killing people?
Yeah. How did you get there?
How did I get there? That was the big question. Mm-hmm. That was the big question. So on the 23rd of July, I received a Purple Heart for my injury. 3 days later, they asked me, there's no one to take your place. Would you be willing to go back on the river? So you take this patch off my eye, I'll go back. And they did. I could still see fine. My eye was blood red, I think. Mm-hmm. I look at that picture, I can't tell because that was the last picture taken of me, but that was the day. The picture's been touched up. You were talking about, why is it so pale? My right cheek doesn't show the scratch that I called it. It's an old picture. It blew. See how it bloomed? Looks like the white bloomed out too much. Just a small cut. But that was the last picture taken of me. A lot of memories. Mm-hmm. I'm really concerned because as I'm telling you this story, my memory goes back to those days, and I can smell the engine, the diesel. I can smell the water. I can smell the bilge. I can smell my flesh burning. I can smell my blood boiling from white phosphorus. If anybody doesn't believe the story, we have pictures in a moment that'll confirm everything I'm saying.
Well, and this, when you start to recall, and, we're sitting at a table with a large screen television right beside us with photos right here that are larger than life. But and make no mistake, post-traumatic stress is something that when you have been traumatized, injured, beat up, beat down, a lot of times veterans, first responders, children, adults who have walked through traumatic things in their lives, those memories are so real, so tangible. And I think, not that either of us are counselors or, like you were saying, we're not psychiatrists, we're not, therapists by any means, we're not professionals. However, you've walked through something that I think gives you, that qualifies you to speak to.
Yes, it does.
People's pain, and when they've walked through things, to not beat themselves up for feeling that way. One of the biggest
complaints of the warriors that go through our program, the Eagle Summit Ranch, one of the biggest, we have a program called Operation Warrior Reconnect, and I've had over 6,000 warriors come through our program. The thing they tell me the most is they send me to all these psychs, all these people that have never been to war to tell me how to survive. He said, then we come here, and in the first day of a 5 or 6 day program, by the end of the first day, they're already talking about something they didn't know how to talk about before.
Right.
Restoring hope that's been ripped out of them, because I've been there, done that.
Yeah.
Nothing speaks more to that than a man with an experience, as opposed to a man with an argument. So yes, Kim, the reason I said I'm concerned is because if I get so caught up in my own experience that I'm sharing, I start to hear it, feel it, smell it.
Right.
But it's the memory that I can smell my blood boil. I can smell my flesh burn. I can hear it crackle like bacon on a morning frying pan. But if I start to feel the pain of the burn, I've never got that far down that road. If I ever get there, I'm shutting down the mic, pushing back the chair, and this podcast is over.
Yeah.
Let's don't go that far down the road.
Well, tell us about the day. So you had beached the boat.
Yes. I beached the boat back at exactly the same place I'd been hit 3 days before.
Okay.
I had a sixth sense of something's not right. Trust your feelings, Luke. I'm your father. I had a feeling something was wrong. They were there, and I knew it, but I couldn't see them. I couldn't hear them. I couldn't smell them. But I knew they were there. Somewhere my senses were picking up on the presence of the enemy. Maybe it was the Holy Spirit warning me. There's a story to be told that time won't permit in this podcast, but I will share it one day, how God warned me after I got back from the hospital on the 23rd of July. What happened when I got back to my floating barge called Mobile Base 2? I'm not going to share it now. I have to wait for later. But God warned me. And that day, 3 days later, I've got the feeling they're here. To prepare for that feeling, I jumped into my gun tub. I picked up a white phosphorus hand grenade and pulled the pin. It's no bigger than a Coca-Cola can.
Yeah.
Same temperature as a Coca-Cola can. But inside that is a white phosphorus that once oxygen touches it, it will spontaneously combust. It'll explode in full, vicious, unspeakable heat. 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit, I've been told. I didn't have a thermometer that day. My body was covered from the waist up. 50% of my skin was set on fire when that sniper pulled that trigger. He was shooting at my head, I guess. He missed, hit my hand. My hand got in the way. Yeah. And in 1 second, 60 pounds of flesh was burned off, blown off, mutilation beyond description. In 1 second, my life changed. I was surrounded in a cloud of white, hot heat, smoke and fire from my waist up burning. My legs were on fire, but they weren't hit with the phosphorus. His clothing burned. It only ended up being 2nd degree from the waist down. From the waist up, 50%, 3rd degree.
Wow.
Went blind in my eye, deaf in my ear, blew my hair off, blew my ear off, blew my face off, eyelid, my eyeball was scorched, turned gray. Most of my nose was blown off. My right lips were gone. My teeth stuck out the side of my head. And I had no pain. I felt nothing. Not one single solitary pain. And I was still alert and awake. Yeah. A lot of people will pass out in shock. And I probably would have, except that something told me, jump in the water, jump in the water. I thought it'd put the fire out. Phosphorus burns in water. You can't extinguish it. It has to burn itself out. It supplies oxygen as a byproduct. As it burns, then it consumes the oxygen as a byproduct to finish it off. That's why you can strike a match, stick it in the water, and it'll still burn till it burns the phosphorus off. Then the wood doesn't produce oxygen as a byproduct, so it starves of oxygen and dies. I was a burning tip of a match, white hot, in that water, boiling the water like the heating element in a teapot. My skin was everywhere around me. That's when I laughed the most and laughed the loudest with my audiences when I tell them I was that day beside myself. You know why I do that? It's called comic relief. I don't do it for them as much as I do it for myself. I followed up with, I really needed to pull myself together that day. You know what, Kimmy? I did pull myself together.
You did.
As God gave me the strength.
Oh.
It's another section of the story. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that every time we begin to unpack your story, and it's like an onion, right? I think it was on the movie Shrek. Like every time onions are layers, and you keep pulling them back, and you cry more and more as you get into it. But
and it's more tender as you get further down.
And I know that we're trying to pack it all into one podcast, and it's so nice to know that we don't have to. We don't have to unpack it all today. We can work through, a train of thought and take it to the end and know that, hey, next week or next episode, we get to pick it up and move on to that next thought. But I really think our listeners would, knowing that you're actually coming up on a surgery here very soon to repair.
Yeah, next week.
Yeah.
Surgery number 64.
Yeah, 64, to repair an injury to your back. But
that injury came in Iraq, not in Vietnam.
Yeah, exactly. War is war, right?
War is hell.
So to do that, but I mean, say that again. I don't know that our listeners really heard that, but what number surgery is this one?
Number 64.
64. So I want to back up to 1969. The next pictures I'm about to put up are going to show kind of some chronological surgeries. Now, I don't have a picture of every single surgery you've had.
No.
But it's, it would take
the ones that you're going to show.
Yeah.
Bring back horrific memories.
So these photos right here are ones of you actually in the hospital.
I think these are actually me because it's my left thumb that was taken off. Mm-hmm. My right hand, you can see how my hand's already curled up.
Yeah.
And that nurse is the nurse, and I still know her today.
Yeah.
She's the same one. She sent me these pictures.
Yeah.
It's the only pictures of me that I think are there. And this is in the Hubble tank. And this is in the tent. They put us in a cellophane or clear plastic tent and keep germs off of us while there.
And so, looking at, to me, you've had a lifetime of surgery, right? A lifetime of cutting and fixing and repairing. And even in your later years, they're still working on you. And you've always said it's Humpty Dumpty, right? Trying to put Humpty Dumpty together again. And as we kind of progress through surgery after surgery, it's not cosmetic to try to make anything more aesthetic or pleasing as much as it is to open up an airway or to repair areas.
Just to function.
Right.
What you're going to see shortly they're going to see, those that are watching on our YouTube channel, we'll describe it for you listeners.
Yeah.
I've already described a little bit of it. Surgery number 50 is on the screen right now.
Yeah.
What you're looking at is not a picture from 1969. This is 14 surgeries back, just about 6 years ago, 7 years. Surgery number 50. They made me a nose. They made me eyelids. Have you ever seen a cast on an eyelid? Well, there it is. They have a cast on my eyelid because I didn't have one. They had to make it. Mm-hmm. They have a cast on my lips because they had to make my lips.
Yeah.
Had a cast on my neck, which you can barely see as in the background there, but it was because they had done surgery on my neck too, so I could turn my head.
Right.
I'm already 60 years old there, or 65 years old, about maybe 70, not quite 70. What I'm trying to tell you is, it happened in 69. Decades later, or half a century later, it still hurts like hell. It hurts. I'm sitting here today. I don't want anybody's pity. I just want people to understand. If I'm going through this, how many more hundreds of thousands of veterans are going through suffering silently? Right. They don't have a microphone. Right. They don't have a beautiful daughter sitting across the table on a podcast asking questions from a daughter's point of view. Not one of your questions are predetermined. Not one of them is written down. Not one did I know was coming. We're doing this mono e daughter, not mono e mono.
Yeah.
But this picture shows the vulgarity. That nose was built on top of my head.
Yeah. And moved
They
down.
had to swing it down.
Yeah.
When I saw that picture, I lost it. I didn't see the picture. First, I saw it in the mirror.
Right.
That picture was taken only moments after I came out of surgery. And they stood me up on my feet. When I stood up, I was eye level to a mirror. And I saw what is in that picture right now.
Yeah.
Looks like a garbage truck backed over me, then dumped its garbage on me, and then backed over me, took off, run over me again.
Yeah.
It's putrid. It's hardly even, you can hardly construe it to be a man.
But as we go through, and this is the beauty to me, because you were talking about how pain is still a part of your daily life.
Yeah.
But just as much as pain is a part of your daily life, so is healing. Healing's a part of your daily life. Every day you heal more.
Yeah.
Every day, yes, there's pain, but every day there's healing. And as we look at Surgery 51, you can begin to look at the transformation.
You can see my lips have got the cast off.
Yeah.
My eyelids have the cast off, but it looks like I have two noses.
Yeah.
The nose they built is the big one. That little piece on the left side or the right side, if you're looking at it from our perspective, that was what was left, and they made me a nose.
Yep.
That surgery was still, I'm thinking, holy cow, I look like a rhinoceros. Surgery number 51, I wasn't yet encouraged, but number 52.
52, you really begin to see.
They took the cast off my lips.
Yeah.
But it still had bleeding, open sores from the surgery. And up at the top on my forehead, you can see where my nose used to be attached.
Right.
And they cut that loose. And the rhino now becomes a semblance of a man with an eyelid and lips that are looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Surgery number 53
They were working on your eyelid.
they took the time to really start shaping. They shaped my eyelid.
Yeah. Because you used to not be...
That's a rough picture right there. It's a tough one.
Yeah. Well, you used to not be able to blink at all. I remember you had to tape your eye closed at night.
You remember?
But your eye began to dry out.
And
you were going to lose your eye.
Lose my eyeball.
Yeah, lose your eye.
And Dr. Cleland, Jeff Cleland, Army Colonel Doctor, one of the greatest doctors in the whole universe, said, Dave, you're going to lose your eye if we don't do something about it. He took charge. He not only was in charge of seeing me and getting corrective surgery on my entire body, but he looked after the right doctors who looked after me.
Yeah.
And he serves on my executive board of directors today.
He sure does.
And number 54, I actually put on glasses for the first time. My nose has now been completely restored. My eyes starting to open up a little bit more. And then surgery number 55.
Yeah. You've got full use of your eyelid there.
Full use of my eyelid. My eyes are opened up. My lips are back. My nose is looking good. Look at that nose. And I'm speaking at Branson at Music City Hall in Branson, Missouri on that picture. And people say it's one of the best pictures ever taken of me.
Yeah.
The hair, I got my hair back. I bought it. There's a bald guy in China. That's where my hair was made. Hope he's from Wuhan. Revenge of the Wig.
Well, you have had to take so many steps in your own healing. Obviously, you didn't heal yourself. We know that.
Yeah.
We know that the power and the love of Jesus Christ in your life was the inner healing, the support and help of doctors throughout decades in your life were a part of your healing. And speak to our listeners today who are walking through, number one, they're in pain. Maybe it's an endless, everyday type of thing, just like you have had to deal with.
Back to surgery number 50. Can you put that back up?
I can. Yeah.
Surgery number 50. Pain beyond measure. I've been waterboarded by the way. I've been waterboarded. I'll take waterboarding any day over what I've went through right there. The reason I'm telling you that is because I want people to understand it's in suffering we grow. You don't grow in darkness. You grow in suffering. The lights come on in suffering. Pain wakes you up at night. Pain will cause you to look for answers you never dreamed you had such a question to be answered. Mm-hmm. Jesus learned obedience through the things he suffered. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, there are a lot of television evangelists would not be rich today if they preached the message I'm preaching right now.
Yeah, it goes against a lot.
Castles they live in. This message of health and wealth, it doesn't hold up under pressure. Mm-hmm. I could call names, but I don't do that. I don't ever attack another minister directly, but I will attack the philosophy and the theology of a minister or a ministry that says, if you are sick, you sin, and God made you sick. God did not do that to me. Do you understand that, Kimmy?
Yes, sir.
Jesus didn't do that to me. Mm-hmm. God didn't do that to me. I didn't sin and cause that to happen to me. I was in Vietnam serving God, being faithful to my faith, my hope in Christ, and faithfulness to my wife, Brenda. I never once compromised my message or my ministry dreams to be a pastor or a preacher of the gospel. I was in a war. God didn't do that to me. War does that to people. And worse, war kills, which would have been a pleasant reprise for me to have died. I would have gladly gone on to be with Jesus that I knew and loved and was ready to meet.
Sure.
Words of Paul to the church in Philippi come to mind. I would you should understand, brethren, verse 12, chapter 1, that the things which happened to me have fallen out rather to the furtherance of the gospel. Listen to verse 19. I know that this shall turn to my salvation through your prayer and the supply of the Spirit of Jesus Christ. That in nothing, he goes on, in nothing I shall be ashamed. I shall be ashamed. Wait till you hear the rest of the story, and probably the next podcast. Yeah. This was getting long. In nothing I shall be ashamed, but that with all boldness, as always, so now also, Christ shall be magnified in my body, whether it be by life or by death. For to me to live is Christ, and to die is gain. What was going through my mind that will one day put me into the surgery number 50 to look like that again? What was going through my mind that day on the bank of that river in 1969? To me to live is Christ. Verse 21, chapter 1, Philippians. Paul, who would be beheaded for his faith, suffering in a prison cell, rotting, deteriorating, health going down, said, to me to live is Christ. That day, baby.
Yeah.
My precious little beautiful girl. My heritage and my legacy, along with her brother, Matt, greatest pastor in the world in my book. Best son a man could ever have. I never dreamed I could hurt so much and have so much fun and joy in life, because that day, what happened next, I'll share in the next podcast. What happened after surgery number 50 would make it or break it, as I had to go all the way back to square one, 1969, and decide whether or not I would proceed forward or I'd pull the plug that day.
Right.
I fought a suicide demon all my life for 20 years almost.
Yeah.
I fought that suicide demon. And I'll share in the next podcast how God got that demon off my back.
Well, I know that there's so many things that we want to go over. And like I said, I love the fact that we have just so many episodes to be able to unpack those and share those with each other and with our listeners and our viewers. And so just I want to share that you can visit our website at daveroever.org to send us any of your questions. If you've got some things that you'd like to ask Dave, feel free to do that and on our Contact Us page or on our social media. If you like this podcast, please subscribe. We would love to have you share that with your friends and family. Go onto our social media pages on Facebook or Instagram and like our page. But Dave, I think this has been, it's a great start to a very fun experience for you and I to do these podcasts together. And do you want to close this up? Share your last thoughts?
The picture you saw on that screen, I saw, and I went into a deep, dark depression just 6 years ago. What would be the lesson I learned out of that when those doctors told me the surgery was perfect? Surgery was right on. 12 hours and 9 doctors worked on me, and they were so proud of what they had accomplished, and I was so horrified by what I saw. The lesson I learned was, when we come to Jesus, we're nothing more than just a pile of human flesh, morbid, putrid, stinking, hopeless, helpless, useless. But the great physician takes the scalpel of truth, sharpened on the wit of love. And I want to tell you something. The end is what he's looking at. He knows it's been a good surgery. He knows the flesh has been carved out. He knows what he's done. Hold steady, because surgery 55 is coming.
Hang in there.
You're looking good, baby. Don't give up.
Awesome.
Don't quit. Don't say it's too much to bear. If I can make it, you can make it. If Jesus can make it, we can all make it. Let me pray for you right now. Jesus, thank you that you are our first, our hope, our ending hope, our middle hope. We read the beginning of the book, the end of the book, the middle of the book, and throughout the book we win because you rose from the dead. And Jesus, I pray for the most hurting, broken human being listening to this prayer right now. God Almighty, encourage them, be with them, keep them safe, give them strength to put down the gun, push back the Jack Daniels, push back the bottle of pills, and say, Jesus, come into my heart. Make me what you want me to be. As I confess I'm a sinner and I confess you're the Savior, save me from myself. Make me what I ought to be as I confess you, risen from the dead, the Son of God. I accept you into my heart and life. From this day forward, I am born again. Amen. Amen. See you next podcast on Tragedy to Triumph with Dave Roever and Kimmy.
Awesome. Well, that's a wrap. Thanks so much. Please subscribe and share us with your friends and family on social media, and we'll catch you back here next time.